Well, hi guys, welcome to your YouTube channel. How are you all doing today, guys? I hope you had a lovely day. Me being busy all day. And now I'm preparing for the 4-day Pure Energy Healing course here at the Academy, which starts tomorrow. So please wish us all luck. I've saged the place out completely from top to bottom. It needed a good saging, so now the energy is perfect for what I believe the universal energy, spirit, God, whatever you want to call it, that energy that pours in and heals the people who come. Not only that, the people who are attending as well. We all need healing, we all need strengthening, and that's part of this 4-day course to become strong and to become the perfect healer that we already are. An interesting day today. I wanted to tackle a couple of subjects if possible. I'm not so sure if I can do that or not, but let me give you a really interesting story that's only happened to me after I saged the academy and went and I sat down at a restaurant and ordered a little bit of food, and I thought, well, it's going to be about an hour or two before I can come back and open all the doors and windows, because the sage smoke has to absorb all the negative energy into the smoke, and then I open the doors and windows to release it. So I spent about an hour there. Well, funnily enough, I live in a village which is extremely small and everybody knows everybody here, and it's really funny because I'm not going to explain too much because I don't want anybody to know about this story, but I just want to share something that I find really interesting. And you know, when I overlook and hear stories, it's almost like everything fits into place. So as of late, I've been bombarded by people who complete opposite to what my belief system is, and I've got no issues with that at all. But certain people like chemtrails or 5G, and these are friends who I know, and I'm scratching my head baffled by what they're saying to defend their belief system. Now, I've been scratching my head for the past few days because some of my really good friends who I know have been doing this, and out of the blue, and I think, where is this coming from? And then all of a sudden tonight, everything fitted into place. So this village has a few people who are businessmen that I know, okay? Anyway, because I was at a certain place, I recognised one of these men at a certain meeting that was private. Why was it private and how did I end up there? I'm not telling you, but I ended up seeing everybody in this private meeting, and it was for a certain project in the village. I'm not saying what project because I don't want to get people talking. So I clocked a bank manager, I clocked a few other people, and I clocked this man who I know is a businessman. He's in his late 50s. And I thought, that's interesting because I knew what the meeting was about. So anyway, no big deal. I just thought it was interesting who was at the meeting and the people who were basically who had come because they had this idea and this project, and they wanted people to invest, right? Okay, so I saw who was there and I knew who the people were who were asking for the investment. Well, funnily enough, I was at a restaurant and I was just sat down and just relaxing, and who should walk through the door but 3 guys. Now, these 3 guys who I know in the village, and they are Spanish. And my Spanish isn't brilliant, but it's pretty good. I can understand most of it. So they began talking. And the 2 who I know, who had nothing to do with this 3rd guy who I saw at this private meeting, started talking about this very project, right? So I didn't know what was going on, but I was overhearing it because they basically sat right next to me because the seats are so tight in the restaurant. So I couldn't help but overhear it. So these two guys were saying to each other, can you believe what they're doing to the village? Can you believe what this project is? Can you believe how they're doing this and what's going to happen and what they're going to cut down? And they were getting really angry, really upset. How can anybody do this? And I'm thinking, this guy here didn't tell the other two about that he was at that meeting, and I think he's going to be an investor in it, or he already is. So then all of a sudden, this guy says, well, I think it's quite a good project. The other two stopped, looked at each other. I was out of my corner eye watching, and they went, "Tu loco? Are you mad? Are you nuts?" And this guy then started defending himself. And all of a sudden they were like arguing. They were having a full-blown argument. And this guy sat here was defending and saying it's a good project for the village. People are going to there's going to be money pumped into it. And he's saying, but what about all the issues what about the environment? What about this? What about parking? What about this? And they were having a fight. Basically, this guy who was at the meeting got up and walked out. The other two guys looked at each other and said, what the hell just happened there in their language? I never said a word. I just giggled inside. And let me tell you guys, if you're listening, you are the most amazing people in the world, and clever to bring the right people to give me the answer to why I'm always attacked on social media by my friends and people that I know, that I think, why did they even do that? And just like these two guys sat next to me, they were scratching their head, and they were in silence then, bewildered by what their friend had just done and why he'd walked out. You see, the moral of the story, guys, is really simple. When people have an avid interest in whatever they're defending, they will defend it tooth and nail, whether it is real or whether it's fake. And I can tell you this as a fact, guys, with my hand on my heart. Most people who fight against you for something that you believe is because they are defending what they have bought into, whether that is in a monetary value or whether it is in their pride or ego or what they need to believe that they are right in this subject. And a lot of the times, I believe that they know deep down that they're wrong, but they've already invested in some way, whether that's thought, whether it's effort looking at these things, buying into it, or looking at buying into something that's something to do with 5G, and just being standing up for your principles because you use it and I think it's good, right? And that goes with spirituality. That goes with everything. Everything. So how beautiful a confirmation was that to me tonight, out of all the people in the village, out of who I saw and how Spirit brought me to the right place to see what was going on and to find out that, and then to sit right next to the very person in front of his two friends who he just fell out with because of that very reason, because he bought into that, so he had to defend it. You see? So that's just a little observation that when you start to awaken to certain things and you ask Spirit for help, they'll show you. They'll show you, and my flipping heck, I think that was pretty close. Yeah, maybe I need it that close to see it. So, yeah, I just think, guys, I just want to say to you, listen, guys, I've said this to you before. I was in Bali, and I was sat down having a drink, okay, and I think a little bit to eat. And this guy was a little bit intoxicated next to me, I could tell. And he ends up telling me about his life and where he lived, which was Australia or somewhere like that. And I wasn't really listening. But what I found interesting is that he told me about his work and how part of his work is to defend or to diss anybody that had a certain belief system, whether it was to do with affecting the government or the company he was working for. So his job was to give out disinformation, to heckle, to mock, and to send loads of disinformation to confuse everything. That was part of his job. And I was sat there in ballet looking up thinking, the guy's drunk, he doesn't even know who I am, and he's telling me all about his job and what he does. So I find it fascinating, and I want to share with you this. When anybody fights against you, just let it go, because you know now why. It isn't out of their right. Because when you know something so true, you don't need to think about that nonsense that somebody's kicking out, because you know your truth. The truth is the truth. And when somebody's trying to argue against the truth and you're shaking your head, remember these stories. And that goes for vaccines as well. Many people will not hold their hand up and say, I think I made a mistake, because it's like saying that they've poisoned their child. It was on them, and it isn't on them. It isn't their fault. But they will defend it because they don't want to think inside that they made a mistake. But you know what? I vaccinated. My child was vaccinated when my little daughter was young. I had no clue. I wasn't in this field. Nobody had ever told me about conspiracy and things that were happening in the world. I didn't see. I was too busy working. But I tell you what, I can hold my hand up now and say my daughter never had any more vaccines when I did become more aware and awake. Me and Susie said no to a certain vaccine, what they wanted to give her. And you know what? Even if I did, and she did have that, I would hold my hand up and say, that was a mistake. I think I shouldn't have done that. And I apologize for doing it. And, now that I know, I'm going to share this information. It doesn't make you a bad person because you've made a mistake. What makes you a bad person is backing that mistake up by your pride and by not thinking that people will think bad of you, or that you're an idiot and you shouldn't have done it. You know what? If I've made a mistake, I'm the first one to hold my hand up. You know what? I'm sorry. That was a mistake. You know when you can do that, it's because you've got no ego. You've got no pride. And you realise that we're all going to make mistakes. Every day we make mistakes. But to me, the idiot is the one who knows they've made a mistake and who will still fight and say that that's the right thing to do, even though deep down they know it's wrong. But pride holds them there. But also the same thing that I said, if somebody's invested in something, they'll fight you even though they know it's wrong because they've invested in it. They're not going to turn around and say it's wrong because they've invested in it. So if you've invested in something that you know is a flop and you know it was a big mistake, you can go around and tell people that you've invested 100,000 euros into, whatever it is. You're not going to go around and tell everybody it was the biggest mistake because you're fearing losing that money. So you're going to tell everybody, well, I've invested 100 and I think, or not say anything and say, well, I think it's a really good buy. I think this is a good move. Why? Just to up your chances. Because, you might get your money back, or that, that you're going to lose it. Do you see where I'm coming from? Anyway, guys, it's not really a self-help video, but maybe it is. If somebody's attacking you on social media and you're scratching your head thinking, what the hell are they talking about? And, a lot of them come at you with the nonsense of, there's no proof, there's no this, there's no that. Just scratch your head and don't even waste your time. You know what's right. You keep putting it out there. Keep being your truth. Keep sharing your truth. That is all that matters, because the right people will awaken. And I tell you, there are more people awakened now than any other time in this world. And that's the beautiful thing. So don't be put off by idiots. They call them shills, right? The shills. They're just people who go out there and have fake accounts and they just attack everybody. Okay, so just remember that, guys. Don't be put off. Don't be frightened. Don't be scared of what other people say, what your belief system is. Because let me tell you, you have just as much right to say what you feel and stand by it. And you know that if you are proved wrong, you will hold your hand up and say, I'm proved wrong. But until you're proved wrong, you stick to what you believe is right, what comes from your heart. until you're proved wrong. You do your research and don't fight with other people, just leave them be. Have a great evening. I think I've talked enough, guys. Wish me luck tomorrow. Please wish me luck. Send me a lot of good energy. Tomorrow's a beautiful first day. 6 beautiful people from around the world are coming to the Pure Energy Healing Academy to experience 4 beautiful days of pure energy healing. Bye for now, guys. From my heart to yours. Take care.